Hello, welcome back to They Don't Tell You. I'm Nikki Limo.
A podcast.
Oh
Thank
yeah,
you.
wait, should I do it over and not say?
Yeah, don't say shit. Yeah, that would help a
Oh.
lot.
I don't know how to do it without saying.
I know.
Hello, welcome back to our podcast. They Don't Tell You.
Nice.
I don't know. Like we're supposed to not
Listen,
say our podcast
all I
name
know is we've been getting monetized for the last month.
from
So
like.
it's working.
Oh, it's working.
Yeah,
Okay.
this method is working.
So the stuff
They don't
the
tell you.
the that
Exactly.
they don't tell you.
Whatever it is, it's working.
Fill in the blank.
Also, thanks to all of you, it's working as well
Yeah,
because
'cause
you go to
now we-
patreon.com/sticky and you help the show, and that helps the show.
It does help the show. Yeah. So, and by not saying our podcast name, we'll make an extra $5 from AdSense.
Correct.
So that's cool.
Helps a lot. For
No,
some
mostly
reason.
I think the algorithm just doesn't push out stuff that it doesn't monetize, that doesn't put ads on.
Correct.
So
That is
it's not really for
correct.
our pockets, but it's for like getting the show out to
Yes.
more people. All right. Anyway, I wanted to start the show off today with a little bit of a celebration, a little pat on the back, a little hurrah.
Here we go.
I just signed with the World Poker Tour in their Club WPT Gold department. That's their online platform that they just launched last week. So America, I don't know how much of you are into poker, but like America banned online poker on a day called Black Friday back in 2011. And it sent the whole poker world into a frenzy. And since then, different sites have been fighting to try to get back in America. So there are some regulated sites, but they're very few. So the WSOP is one, WSOP.com. And it's very, very, very hard for other sites to get their foot in the door. So a bunch of unregulated sites start popping up, and there's like problems with those. But WPT Gold has found a way to do it legally in the United States using the sweepstakes method. So if you go there, you buy sweepstakes coins, which are dollar equivalent. So if I buy $500 of sweepstakes coins, it's $500 on the site. And then I can buy into like a $50 tournament.
Yeah.
And if I win 10,000 sweepstakes coins, I can withdraw that for $10,000.
Oh, word. Okay.
You understand? So it's like a sweepstakes
It's
model.
like carnival points.
And it's basically available to almost every state. There's like very few states that it's not available to. And again, it just launched last week, and I just signed on as an ambassador. So if you go to clubwptgold.com and sign up with code Nikki, N-I-K-K-I, I'll put the link in the description with the code. And if you sign up with that code, one, you'll be able to access the site. So I don't know if you're like play poker already or you're looking to start playing poker, but it's a good way to start because it's softer tables right now because it just launched. So there's like more beginners there, the more amateur players. They're not like covered in pros yet. Okay. And then there's like lower stakes buy-ins, and they even have a gold coin option where you can play like play money stakes. So like if you want to just practice with like play money, you can do that too.
But
So that's
I'd probably do that one.
So yeah, that's kind of cool. And if you sign up with my code Nikki, I will be doing giveaways in the future. So it's very imperative that you sign up with my code when you sign up, because you can't sign up for a code again. Like once you sign up, that's it. So
Gotcha.
if you want to be part of the giveaways in the future, make sure you sign up with my code so that you can be part of that.
N-I-K-K-I.
N-I-K-K-I. Okay. Link in the description. Again, just want to put that out there because it just launched, and the more of you that sign up with the code, the quicker we can do giveaways.
Love
So,
it.
There you
Love
go.
it. Love
Anyway.
it. Love that for you.
Thanks, Queen.
We've been watching a lot of trashy reality TV.
Oh my
so
gosh, we've been watching so much. Our brains are rotted.
it's really bad, but I really love it. And so I always like to say, love that for you, kind.
Thanks, babe.
Oh my God, thank you.
They always say babe. Like
I
the
love it.
really like bitchy ones always say babe.
If you're not watching Selling Sunset, what are you doing? First of all, you're messing up with your whole life. Your life is being ruined.
Okay, we're not sponsored by Selling Sunset.
But you should watch it.
If you want to brain rot, like
Oh, yeah, if you
definitely
want-
watch.
oh my God.
Okay, so it combines like we're really into house hunters.
Yeah.
We were like that was our shit. Like that was our all throughout like the beginning of our relationship in our
100%.
apartment. We used to
We
watch
like to
house
watch
hunters.
the house shows.
Yeah, and then we got really into like Love Island and like the really reality
Yeah, the
shows,
garbage stuff.
the garbage stuff during the pandemic.
Yeah,
and like Love Is Blind, we're all into all that stuff. So this combines all of that, like all
Yeah,
of the
dude.
trash with the
They
houses.
just slam it in.
And the houses are just like top notch. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's so great.
good. Which leads us into our episode today,
Yeah.
which was requested by our producer, Mark. And I
Yes.
think it's a pretty fun topic. a little different than our
a little
normal.
personal, Mark. It's a little personal.
A little personal, a little different than our normal episodes.
But it's a little personal, a little disturbing that he asked. This is a little personal.
He wants to know our drama.
Yeah, I'm like, well, that's a little personal.
We're into other people's drama. He's into our drama.
Yeah, he likes our drama. I think.
And we don't have that much of it, so we're going to try to milk it for everything.
Yeah.
It's all concentrated into the first year.
That's why we brought that up, because this is our drama episode.
Yeah,
this is our drama.
It's our drama.
Welcome to our reality show.
Welcome to RT.
Exactly.
It actually took us a bit to like remember these fights.
Yes.
So the topic that Mark would like to hear more about are our top 5 fights, or the top fights that we had.
Top fights. Well, we're not even going to number them. We won't even number them.
Because there's so many, actually. But we always talk about how in the first year we established a good method of communication, mostly because we fought so much. Like a lot of people are like, on cloud 9 the first year, don't fight at all. Honeymoon phase is what they call it.
The
honeymoon phase. We did not have a honeymoon phase. I mean, we
had honeymoon moments.
We definitely had honeymoon moments. And I think whatever reason, we're both really tuned into our core emotions, and we both knew that they're like,
we weren't to blame.
Yeah, we loved each other.
Each other weren't to blame.
There was like, we saw the world the same way. And I think what was so frustrating in these fights was that, like, why isn't this person understanding? Like, when I know that they see the world the same.
And for me, I was like, why is she being a big old C?
Yeah. Well,
capital C.
Because he likes those.
Well, apparently.
I heard he gets a boner for those.
Whoa, you heard that from where? From my diary? Please stop reading it.
Yeah, it's pretty juicy. Would you like to start, or do you want me to start?
You can start.
All right. Well, I thought of a few other ones, but like other than the ones that I mentioned to you earlier. Okay, so I think there were 2 fights that happened pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Like I'd say within a month of us dating. The first one, because we started dating in at the end of May, right?
Yes.
So it was
2013.
May 27th, 2013.
Yep.
And VidCon was the next month.
Oh, yeah.
It was in June.
Oh, yeah.
And back then we used to get invited to VidCon. So that was like that was a yearly thing. We've been going to all the VidCons. Anyway, this was the first year we were a couple at VidCon, and it was very new, right? And leading up to VidCon, I was working a lot at the YouTube space and stuff, and they would throw these parties like every weekend. And like mostly that's how I got food, was like, they had free pizza, and they had candy, and they had beer. Yeah. So I would have a beer while I was editing, and I would eat some pizza, and I would mostly like utilize the whole space because I didn't have my own editing program either. So I would use their space to like edit all my videos, and there'd be free beer and pizza. Okay, so I was gonna meet Steve, or we had lightly made a decision to like maybe come over to my place later, and we'll go to Target.
Yeah.
Right. And I was finishing up at YouTube Space, and when I called him, I was like a little buzzed from the beer.
Yeah.
And he like went like really quiet on me.
I forgot all
Do you
this
remember
one.
this?
Yeah, this is so dumb.
Yeah.
This is so dumb. I'm embarrassed.
He said, like, I was like, why is he being like this? Like, I literally had like one beer, or like, like 1.5 beers. And I was not drunk at all. And I wasn't planning on driving it for like a while because I was just finishing the editing. And he's like, oh, I thought you were going to come over and do Target later. And I was like, I am. Like, I'm just finishing this stuff, and I wanted you to know.
Target's
like,
a big deal to me, by the way.
Yeah.
For context.
And he goes like, kind of like, I can tell he's mad at me. Anyway, later it comes out that he was worried that we were going to show up to VidCon and I was going to be a drunk every day. I was just going to be a wild drunk, and people were going to be like, oh, that's your new girlfriend, a wild, chaotic drunk. And he just like didn't want to be embarrassed about me.
Listen, that's so stupid.
I was like, what are you talking about?
This is just projection.
Yeah.
Because I was really upset about I was embarrassed that I was going to a VidCon, and like, you know, it like my last relationship was a failure, and that's really what it was about. It's just my last relationship was a failure.
You felt it was a failure.
100%. Well,
because you got dumped.
Right, and so then going to VidCon with a new girlfriend just feels like
you didn't want people to think it was a downgrade.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it was just such a dumb, weird thing to do, and dumb all around.
Yeah.
Embarrassing. Also embarrassing as hell. I'm not that way.
Yeah, you're not at all.
I'm not.
No,
again, so many faux pas in this year of like just out of character, out of body experiences of like, who the hell was this guy or this bitch as well? You. So yeah.
Well, because like we talked about, like we both had been dumped by people that we cared about, and there was like a protective wall, basically. Like they tell you that it takes half the time you were dating to get over the wounds of that person, or like
I think that's good for people who haven't been through a real breakup. Like I think it usually is that way, but I think we were able to get through it a little quicker. We were,
but this was like a month or 2 months after you broke up. Like you were in that relationship for 4 years.
Yeah.
So I knew it was going to take time. I just didn't realize like the way it was going to be processed was going to be like these like out of character moments. I thought it was going to be more like you withdrawing into solitude for like a couple weeks or something like that.
No, that makes sense.
You know, but instead it was like weird, like just random momments of like weirdness. Okay, so then at VidCon itself was when we broached the subject. Yeah, broached the subject of me possibly moving in with you, because at that point, like I was saying in the lead up, it was like we've been together for about 2 months, which I know sounds very quick, but also we had known each other for a really long time, and there
was a comfortability that we had that was very immediate.
Yeah, exactly. And
like I wasn't hesitant to move in with you.
I was month to month. Well, you were hesitant.
Well, I know, but you know what I mean? Like, obviously I wasn't, because we moved in right away.
Right. So, after this fight. Like, but it was like after we had a huge fight, and then like he had to think about it, and then he like realized he was being stupid.
Yeah, thank you.
But this fight, instead of being like, I'm still processing it, or like, give me a minute or give me some time or something, he was like, I don't want to move in with you because you have too much baggage. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, like emotional baggage, or like, have I said something? And he's like, no, like your cats, like you have 2 cats. And that's like a lot of baggage.
Looking back now, because one of them is the yellow cat who pees on everything.
But he didn't at the time.
That was like in the zone. I should have listened to myself.
I had only had him for 2 or 3 years. 2 years. 2 years at that point. He didn't pee until 6 years.
Wow.
Well, so like you had been living.
My gut was good.
You were living with him for 4 years before he
I
like
had
peed
good
on
instincts.
He was a little like cagey, but he wasn't.
Oh, he's a little cagey. Please.
But so what made you change your mind on that?
Well,
because we moved in, we ended up moving in like a month later.
It was during VidCon. It was like while we were at VidCon that I brought this up to you. I remember you going in the bathtub after that.
Yeah.
And I remember while you were in the bathtub, I just sat there and just talked to myself about how stupid I am. And that was it. So like when you got back from it,
at least you're self-aware.
Tell me I'm wrong, by the way.
No, you're not.
That night, the same night, I was like, I'm sorry, I'm really stupid. That was really dumb, and I don't see it that way, and I apologize.
Yeah.
And it's something you've rode me about ever since, because it's really stupid. Well, it's a stupid thing to say.
I just thought it was funny to call cats baggage.
It's really dumb. It's dumb, especially because Franco's the best, and
yeah,
it's just dumb.
But you were going through it, and also we talked about how like
I missed my dog. That's what I was going to say. That's all it was.
That's what I was going to say.
I know.
Yeah.
And in my brain, it was a weird thing of like me saying I can't have my dog. I'll never get my dog back in my life.
Yes.
And I didn't accept that yet.
Yeah.
And so I was just pushing the cats away because I didn't want to. Because like the dog with the cats, that dog Riggs was like.
Yeah, no, that wouldn't have worked at all.
No, and Franklin's the best. So Riggs would have been all over Franklin all the time, and it wouldn't have worked out. So yeah, I was just basically having to close that door with Riggs, and.
No, it made so much more sense after you described that, because. Yeah, and it also
I didn't get over the Riggs thing, by the way. I mean,
for years,
and I think still there's a part of me that please don't tell me, guys. I don't want to know what happened to Riggs. I never want to know, but I just have memories of Riggs, and I love Riggs, and that was it. And had to say goodbye. I'm not going to do the divorced parents sharing a dog thing. Yeah, that's weird. Even though Selling Sunset,
you guys had talked about co-parenting the dog
on Selling Sunset, they did make it work. If I only had Selling Sunset at the time.
If only. But then you'd have baggage with the cats, and you have to make a decision.
It doesn't work. But so again, please don't tell me what happened to Riggs. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know anything. But I loved Riggs, and it took me a long time to get over that.
So I think that, and this is really key though, because let's put in perspective. we were 26 and 27 at the time.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's not a
Me,
lot.
27, you,
Guys
27.
don't like go to therapy as much as women do. And like,
Play a
you know,
lot.
when you talk about emotions, sometimes guys will have emotions, but they don't know why until you like start digging into it and like really asking why. And then Steve like will actually be like, okay, yeah, why? Like, why am I feeling this way? And then I think it's like a discovery process, you know? And like, so you learn a lot about like emotions don't just come out of nowhere. And so
you have to track. It's like having there's a power plant somewhere, right? You have to follow the lines back to the plant and see where the energy is coming from. And for me, that's where I always try to do.
Yeah.
I just try to follow the lines back to the plant and see where the energy is coming from.
Yeah, like, is it this? And then you can feel it.
That's it.
Is it this?
Oh,
No,
yeah,
you can
that settles those feelings.
Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah.
it's like that for me
That's
very much.
That's how I do it too. Because I used to just think that everything my brain was telling me was true. Like, it would be like, I'd be like, I'm sad. Why am I'm probably sad because I don't have a boyfriend or like whatever. And I would latch onto that. Like, yeah, but it wasn't really right. And then I had to learn to like go through a list in my head. Well, is it that? Or is it, you know, what time of the month is it? You know, what, like, is it, maybe it's hormones. Like maybe it's
Probably
this,
that.
maybe it's that. And like, there's like a little thing in your body that like it rings true when you say it.
Yes. You have to be in tune with that and know the truth of that.
But I think the communication of being like, do you really feel like I'm baggage and that we're never going to move in together?
Oh, no.
Or is it something else? And then, you know, exploring that was a key. And so like, I think that's part of maturity and
knowing yourself and knowing your brain and like what your intentions are. Also what you really want out of something. Like,
so if
I
you're
already
gonna
knew I wanted
help people, like if they're in a fight,
exactly.
like
Follow
instead
the power
of
lines.
being like so tied to like your position, like maybe there's something that you can explore within your emotions and your reactions to things.
Always accept that you might be very wrong.
Yeah.
Like it's such a good and productive thing to do is just like know that you don't have it all figured out. Like you're going through something like with somebody else. Like you don't know it all. It's a really comforting, actual beautiful thing to let go and just say, I don't know it all.
Yeah.
And like if you live in a world as big as ours with like so much going on, I think that the best thing to do is just sort of accept that you don't know everything about what's going on.
It's the best attitude.
It's a beautiful release.
Because when you do that, you allow the answer to come. Like
and you're
you
just
allow
humble.
things to
You're
come.
humble
Yeah.
to the answer, right? So the answer can emerge, I think, better than if you're rigid.
Yeah.
You're going to be looking for things to reinforce how you feel instead of if you're letting go and just like, you know, being accepting. I think the answer will emerge.
I agree.
Yeah.
All right. Can you think of?
Yeah. The biggest, I think, one that I'll never forget, because there's so much time that's passed since, and I have little, I don't know, what do you recall it? There's like lapses in memory about some of the details.
Yeah. Well, because when we forgave each other for like a bunch of stuff, like
credit to me,
I kind of just totally forgot about a lot of them.
Big time credit to me. We're gonna get to that too, but
yeah.
The biggest thing for me was the our first real huge fight, which was, you know, the infamous "you broke my coffee table."
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was.
And that started over dishes, I believe.
No.
Well, it started with toothpaste or with my toothbrush.
No, that was a different fight. That was I threw away your toothbrush because I was going to replace it with a better toothbrush, and you did not like that.
No, I didn't
at all.
And you better never do it again.
No, this fight started in the garage, and it was it started about toothpaste and like you leaving the cap off the toothpaste, but then it was about how you brush your teeth twice a day and I only brush my teeth once a day.
Yes, that's what
and
it
people
was.
who brush their teeth once a day are fucking nasty.
Yeah, gross.
And I was like, cool, so I'm nasty, my whole family's nasty, like
Those are
everyone
your trash people.
like that's the way like I was raised. I floss more than you don't floss. Like at the time you like weren't flossing.
I do floss.
And I was like, well,
It's
you
absurd.
didn't at the time.
I do. I did too at the time.
I flossed way more than you.
You floss way more than anybody. You floss like an autistic child.
That's not true.
It is.
I just floss like when I brush my teeth and like after like a meal.
No, I know, but I use the little fucking things, and you're into a different method of flossing. It was the whole thing.
I don't remember that, but I just remember being like flossing is more important than
Yes, you
than
did
brushing.
say that a bunch. Yes,
and basically like you're not better than me because you brush your teeth more than me.
which is hilarious.
Yeah, but then that's how it started, and then like by the time we got up to the up to the apartment, because we were started downstairs in the garage. By the time we got up to the apartment, and we were arguing the whole time up to the apartment, you were like, I think we should go on a break.
Yeah.
And that was like over toothpaste or brushing teeth
it was a compounding of all the things.
That was the straw that broke.
And that was the straw. And then I was like, immediately, as the story goes, I was immediately like, oh shit, did I really say that? And then Nikki takes my glass coffee table, beautiful coffee table I got from Ashley's Furniture.
Well, I clarified, do you mean breaking up, or like what do you mean by a break? And you're like, yeah, like we should step away from each other, like we should take a break.
Yeah.
And I was like,
oh my God, you lost it.
I wiped everything off the coffee table. I was like, fucking leave then.
Yeah.
And I flipped the table, but I just like, in my head, I was like, I'm never believing in love again. I'm putting up a wall so fucking big, no one will ever trespass it. Yep. I'm protecting myself. I'm like immediately figuring out in my head where I'm gonna take my cats and like where I'm gonna stay. And like I went to the bathroom and I closed the door and I was just like, all right, like in all of my. Like, I just broke a table. Fuck me. I didn't mean to, like, break the table. Like, pretty wild. I mean, I flipped it, but I didn't know it was going to break. I didn't think about it. I was in the moment, and I was like, it was right next to me, and I was just enraged. And I'm not saying that's okay. I'm just saying that that's what happened. Well, and look, that, like, after it happened.
It wouldn't have broken if not for my 50-pound weight being there, because I curl 50s. I still do, bitch.
Fuck yeah. Get it. Flex.
So let's just say that, babe. I can't flex if you want.
So in my head, I was like, well, I just sealed the deal. Like, this is over. Like, even if he didn't mean it.
You're too crazy now.
I'm way too crazy now. I've just showed, like, how crazy I am.
Yeah, you justified why I was right.
And every other boyfriend I've ever dated, no matter how serious it was, has been like, you're too crazy. Like, that's insane behavior. And now it's going to be used as a weapon against me in every single argument from now until eternity. And I just now we have to break up because I don't want to deal with that. So
that's the mistake people make.
And so I'm like, I guess, you know, we're just like not meant to be I'm not meant to be in a serious relationship. I'm just meant to like live my own weird life. And then like have like a non-serious relationship. I'm speaking sorry.
She's crying already.
I didn't mean to cry. I'm crazy though.
No, this is what pisses me off about you. We're trying to just have a conversation about this.
I know, and I'm crazy.
And you're doing this again, and I don't appreciate you doing this. Why are you doing this?
Because
you're ruining a good time for everybody.
Because I want to ruin the good time for everybody.
Everyone's leaving the party.
Good. I don't want your party.
Yeah, so then I've told the story before, but
so I was already prepared to
hear the riot act.
I'm done. Like he's gonna walk out and I'm never gonna see him again, except for getting his stuff back.
And again, man, it's one of those things where I swear I had an out of body experience where and this wasn't all logic here. This was like an out of body experience where I was like, if I go through with this will be the biggest mistake I've ever made. Like, this is the woman that I love the most. It's true, man. And so I was like, I don't mean any of this shit. What am I saying? I want her to listen to me. That's all I really wanted. It was for her to listen to me. And I did something crazy to get her to listen to me. And she listened to me. And so it's like, you know what I mean? And you know what I mean? And I think that happens to a lot of people, unfortunately. Like, people just want to be heard sometimes and they do crazy shit to get heard.
Yeah.
And it's not good to do that, by the way, ever.
No.
Like, you should just try to make your argument known. And if you even if you have to do it a couple times, I think it's better to do that. But
well, because we had also talked about how we were never going to be a couple that like broke up and got back together again and broke up and got back together again. BS. So it just like, yeah.
Also, I thanks to experience, and I really think this context is important. I'm not getting sidetracked here. I know what I'm going through here mentally. I used to do that to an ex that I had. I used to do the bullshit breakup button thing where I would just be like, we're done then. And then it's just like, now you have all the power because we're done then. And if they want to be with you, which is like why you say we're done then.
Yeah.
Well, then now they're just going to completely collapse everything in their arsenal as far as the argument goes and just go back to you. It's the laziest way to do anything. And again, you can't be me. And no, I think I'm a pretty good emotionally intelligent person, but it's only because I have the power of perspective. I can remember memories like that and go, that's not how to do it. Mm-hmm. You never do that to your partner, right? Like, because then you're creating an insecurity in your relationship where you're going, guess what? At any moment, I could just leave you. It doesn't matter what's going on.
Yeah.
I could just leave you. Like, so how stable do you think our relationship is? Not at all. And I earned that with my ex, the ex that I'm talking about. Like I really just spread radioactivity all over that. So with Nikki, I was like, I'm not going to do this again. I remember this. I'm not doing this again. This is not how I want Nikki to hear me.
Good for you for like learning from.
I swear to God, I'm pretty good at that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty good at learning from mistakes. I think anybody never let a good failure go to waste. I like to say.
That's
right?
why we started this podcast.
It's a fact.
Yeah.
But man, never let a good failure go to waste. You can mess up a lot in life. And everyone will. We're only human. That's why. That's the whole crux of being a human. You will make mistakes, but if you can remember and try to learn from your mistakes, well, then maybe you'll make some other mistakes elsewhere, learning from them too. But you'll grow, right? You'll grow.
You'll get better.
That's the key to the whole game. Is you're growing and getting better. And even if you make a mistake off of that, you're growing, getting better. Like that's the thing that I don't think people really understand a lot of times.
You build more tools in your arsenal for
1000%.
like, oh, that's not how you handle it. This is the right tool for that, actually. And this is the healthy way, and it actually builds solid foundation.
Because I remember.
Yeah.
I was there. I did the wrong thing. And I know that it didn't work last time. So why am I doing it again?
Right.
Not going to do it. So I applied that in the moment. And again, it was an out-of-body experience because I swear to God, it was like the universe telling me, don't let this one go. It really was. And I was like, okay, but if we do this, if we go into the bathroom, which is where you were at the time, at our old apartment, the one that you said we would die in if we didn't buy a place.
Yeah.
And you go in there and you say like, hey, we're good. I'm sorry. I take it all back. You can never do this to her again. Ever. You can never do this to her again. Not in the worst moments. I don't care how much she's yelling at you. I don't care if you got the biggest throbbing headache or whatever bullshit excuse you've used in the past. You can never do this again. And I swore to myself I would never do it again. And I went back in the bathroom and I said, I'm so sorry. I burst in the room.
Yeah.
I said, I'm so sorry. I did not mean that at all. And I love you so much. And I will never do this again.
I remember that. I just remember you hugging
I remember
me.
like it was yesterday.
I remember being shocked. I was like,
I was just so embarrassed.
He didn't walk out and use this as like a weapon against me for like why he's walking out and he'll never come back. Like that's insane.
No, that's what I think. And I think that's the mistake that people make in relationships is going, that's going in my arsenal. Dude.
Exactly.
Can't wait to use that one.
And I was like, I don't want to be in another one of those where.
Ask me how many times I've brought it up since.
Never.
That's
I mean,
what
only on the podcast. Like when
only
we,
on the podcast
when we bring
when we're
it
talking
up.
about it in a productive
when
way.
we're talking about
remembering
like,
it, helping people learn from it. We've had so many arguments since, as you're going to find out. I've never brought it up one time, not one time.
No.
And Nikki has my back on that because it's true. Like you can't do that to your person. Like that is the arsenal shit has to go away, man.
Right.
Has to go away. So yeah, that's my favorite of our arguments, which is a hilarious thing to say, but that's my favorite one because that's the one that I was like, I have this bitch's back forever. Like,
and it's
forever.
the one that led to the arrows method.
Exactly.
Which
we're going to get to.
Yeah, after this break.
We got a break coming up here.
Break.
Check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/sticky. Nothing helps the show more.
Thanks for this freaking episode, Mark. I didn't know it was going to make me cry.
Yeah, Mark. What the hell, Mark?
What the hell, Mark?
We're going to have a talk with Mark after
Now
this.
I got to redo my makeup before the next episode?
Yeah, we're going to have a good talk with Mark. Be right back.
Hey, we're on a break right now, and I guess we're supposed to promo our show.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about our show.
We're going to talk about a show that you took a break from to like talk about how you should listen to our show.
Technically, we're not on break. We're still working.
It's called Shit They Don't Tell You, and it's all the shit that we wish people would have told us that we had to mess up on and figure out ourselves. Now we're telling you about it.
That's it.
And sometimes we answer questions that you send in, and sometimes we judge other people's situations.
So keep listening and check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/sticky. Thank you.
And shout out to Brian Jorgensen.
So we fired Mark. You know, we let him have it.
Oh, we would never do that. So that's why you have to go to Patreon.
Yeah, that's true.
Patreon.com/sticky, STIKKI, so we could pay Mark.
Yeah,
and,
true.
Let him
My
have
bad.
blankets.
All right, we didn't fire Mark.
We didn't fire Mark.
I thought about it.
Yeah. But we begged on the break for him to come back.
Yeah, we begged and he said
he broke a glass table. And then we begged for him to come back.
Yeah. So
okay, so right after that, you were like, I will never do this to you again.
Yes.
And we actually calmed down and started having a talk about like, because obviously all this came to a head and that's why this happened. And it came to a head because we had been bickering and fighting so much that year.
Yeah.
In fact, like like some of the arguments that we had we might talk about in this episode were like in Europe earlier that year.
Yep.
And like it was just like, I don't know, it was just like little things, but then they were like big things that like bigger picture things that like weighed.
Yeah, compounded.
Yeah, and like where you're like, I feel like this, like I felt like at times that Steve didn't like me.
Yeah.
And he probably felt that way too. I don't know. Yeah. And so
I felt like you were judging me.
Yeah, he felt like I was judging him all the time, and I felt like he didn't really like me. Like I just felt like he would, like I could say the wrong thing at any time, and he would like take it like offensively.
Yeah.
And I was just like, damn, like I just felt like
I was looking for reasons why you were going to screw me over later.
Right, exactly.
And you were doing that to me too.
Yeah, and so it was just tense all the time.
Yeah.
And so Steve brought up this like exercise, like, okay, look, what if we?
And I don't know how I came up with that. I
yeah,
swear
it was
to God.
like in the moment.
It was like a divine intervention moment where something just told me to do this. I swear to God.
We went to the living room, and he was like, so we were talking, and then he's like, let's stand up, and like you tell me, like we'll go one by one, and like any resentments that we have towards each other. I think it actually started on the couch where I was like where is this coming from? And you had brought up like certain things that I said, and I was like, that's not what I meant by that. I was coming at it this way, and we were actually listening to each other.
Yes.
And so then you're like, let's do this. Let's get up. And every time we remember something, you take like as if there's an arrow.
Yeah, and that's stuck in your body.
That's stuck in your body, and you pull it out,
Yep.
and you say the memory that you have of where this like resentment is coming from.
Yes.
Right. So like for one example, there was a time where we went to San Diego, and I felt like Steve was bragging a lot to his parents.
Yeah.
And like I get really like grossed out by people that are like super braggy,
braggadocio.
like just like use like any opportunity to like insert like a brag. So I was just like, he already had this kind of like troll vibe, like I'm better than you vibe. Like I thought,
Literally
and it's
had
like
a show called that. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And so like everything was like a gotcha on that show. It was just very like, I'm so smart, and I'm like I'm like the best, right? Yeah. And like so when we went to San Diego, there like I just felt like he was bragging about himself, and he got like mad at me on that trip because I was like,
because you're dunking on me about that.
well, yeah,
or
exactly.
You're pointing that out.
Yeah, exactly.
Not dunking, but pointing that out.
And like we didn't actually talk about it then. Like so it ended up being a resentment that Steve had towards me.
Yeah.
Because or like that I
you
had,
weren't understanding what I was trying
and
to
that I
actually
had towards him too, because it was very like, oh, you just think you're like the shit, or like you just think that you're like better than me. Like is like basically like the thing, and he doesn't at all. And then he explained to me why he had to talk extra about his accomplishments, and it was because like our parents and my parents are like this too to a degree, like don't really know what we do.
They don't understand
like
it.
It's not like they don't really understand the grind that goes behind it. They just kind of like know we went.
Especially then, by the way, they do now because literally everyone on TV now says like, go to my YouTube channel.
Right.
But back then they had no idea.
Yeah, back then it was
and so
completely
you have to take
new.
it on extra layered or whatever, or they just think you're a joke.
They kind of just think you moved to LA and are like
doing
farting
improv.
Around, like
that's what my parents thought.
Figuring out life.
And by the way, I remember I used to every time I was at. Dude, I still have nightmare. I had a nightmare last night. I was working at KST Data again because I always have nightmares.
I know.
About
I have
that.
nightmares about waitressing.
I always have nightmares about KST Data. But I would always just try to explain. They're like, "Why are you doing all this improv? Like, are you getting paid for it?" I was like, "No." Like, we used to get paid in San Diego. I'm like, "Yeah, but this is different. This is like more competitive."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, well, that seems like a step down, right?" For example.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
And so then it's like, okay, well, I already stepped down. I moved to LA, and then I stepped down. And I'm working on an office job, and then at nights I do improv. And they're like, "Why are you working there for free? It's like you're interning." I'm like, "You don't understand. Like, I'm part of the community."
I know. My mom told me to quit YouTube once to focus on acting, and it was like when YouTube was taking off too.
It's the best.
It was like I have like audience now. Like it's like a thing. Like I'm building something.
But I remember specifically over and over, and every time you talk to your parents, you have to say the same thing over and over because they forget what you said last time.
Yeah.
So I was just like, look, I'm doing this improv thing. It's luck is when preparation meets opportunity.
Yeah.
This is just for the next step. I'm meeting a lot of people. Like, it's just about that. It's not about anything else.
Yeah. So you had just like written a script with Michael.
Yes.
And it hadn't sold yet.
Yes.
But you were talking a lot about the script that you wrote.
Yep.
And I was like,
and how much it was making us laugh when we were writing it.
Yeah, exactly.
And
so
I was reenacting the joy of all of it.
Right. Yeah. And then kind of like, I don't know, kind of like hyping them on it. Like it was like,
I was selling, dude. I was elevator pitching. I was everything.
Totally.
Everything.
And so you were like, because if I don't like really make them understand how exciting it is, they don't get that it's an exciting thing
or important
at all.
And then when I landed it with you, I think the hardest was I did the movie Smiley with you guys, and my parents didn't even show up for it.
Yeah.
So I was like, you have to understand, like they didn't even care about that, and I'm in the movie. So like I have to really hit these fuckers over the head.
And that was like everywhere. It was like New York Times had a billboard in there.
They didn't even go to the premiere or whatever.
That's crazy.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know.
So I was like,
it really
that was,
me.
I think, when I really opened up to you about look, dude, this is what it's really about.
Right,
for me.
and we didn't have these conversations before. So like the person will pull out the arrow and say like what they felt resentment about, and then the other person had a chance to explain their sides to like really be listened to. Like they get the platform to like really explain their side without like any rebuttals or anything. Just like, here's where I was coming from, so that it's like the intention, like understanding intention versus like the outer what I saw, you know, right? Yeah. And then you have a chance to like say sorry, like that, like, okay, oh my, I really misunderstood that. I'm so sorry. Yeah. Like I don't want you to carry that hurt.
Exactly.
You know, like I really.
That actually meant so much to me because you really got it right away.
Yeah.
You got it right away.
But that was like,
you actually, because you were riding me all weekend, and then once I like opened up about that, you were like, oh my God, it was like a eureka for you. And I was like, wow, I really do feel heard. Like, this is amazing.
Yeah. And I think this whole exercise, because after we went through a few of them, like I honestly like, then you break the arrow.
Yeah, so this is big too.
Yeah.
It's corny, I know, blah, 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 but you have to take the pretend arrow that you pulled out of your body.
After you forgive each other, and if you genuinely.
If you don't forgive each other, don't break it, because it's not really broken, and you're going to bring it up again because you're a little petty piece of shit. But if you can, you're man enough or woman enough to break it, you should break it over your knee.
If you forgive them.
And then guess what that means? You're never bringing it up again.
You never get to bring that up again.
By the way, you can bring it up again as far as the context of
like learning,
ruminating about your relationship.
Right, exactly.
Learning about things. But you're not bringing it up again in an argument.
Not as a weapon.
That's gone, bitch.
No, not as a point of resentment.
Quiver, you stupid c***.
Because they apologized and you forgave them and you broke the arrow.
It's over.
And honestly, I swear to God, after doing, like we did like 5 of them or whatever, however many we did that night, I had trouble remembering what I don't even remember all the arguments we brought up. I don't remember them
because we got them.
I don't even know if one of the arrows was the script thing or if that was another time that we solved it, because this method, what we did that day, it made us realize that the other person was on our team and open to hearing us.
Yes.
And I think that's what really changed everything, because then when we had an argument, when we were really having an argument, when we were in like the thick of it, instead of starting to build resentment, we were trying to figure out where the misunderstanding was coming from together.
To this day, we do this.
Yeah.
And because it's so many people in relationships make the mistake of wearing different jerseys. I'm wearing Team Steve. I'm wearing Team Nikki. And so all you do is you say, well, wait, I got points because I did that. And you go, I got points because I did that. And you did that. And you did that.
Yeah.
But if you're wearing the same jersey, you go, we did this. How do we get through the game?
Yeah.
How do we put more points on the board?
What was your intention behind it? Not like, you're a piece of shit, you did this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And like, I use the sports reference so intentionally because you could be a Colts fan, right? And you see a clear pass interference, but it's against the other team, right? And you're like, or it's against your team. And you're like, no, bullshit. It didn't happen. I don't even see it, but you see it.
Yeah.
You just want it for you. So you're willing to, as long as you can get away with it, you're willing to who cares about the rules? Mm-hmm. And vice versa. The other team they don't care if that was actually a false start. They want it to be against the other team.
Yeah.
So that's the whole thing, right? Is when you're on the same team, you're rooting for the same like result,
right,
instead of trying to find little nitpicky things.
Aha.
Exactly.
Yeah, you did it again.
The nitpicky things is what is a relationship ruiner. Right. Also, you have so much built up resentment that you have never cauterized the wound. Right? You never cleaned it out and cauterized the wound and healed it. And to this day, I have so many people, believe it or not, who tell me all the time that me and Nikki are just lucky because we're very compatible. And I'm like, bitch, we had to work for it, man.
Right.
You had to work for
Yeah.
it. I just had to yell at a friend of mine like a couple days ago because I'm like, you don't understand what we had to do.
We could have easily broken up that year.
Oh my God,
It was
dude.
we were fighting nonstop.
Nonstop every other day. But
yeah.
But that's the point, is that we had the right method of dealing with it. I hope all of you do the arrow method.
Yeah.
I'm actually, I'm going to write a little guide for you guys because I think it's important that everyone does this.
Yeah.
Like it's something that I think actually can help people solve resentment.
100%. Like we've had success stories of people saying they tried
everybody that we know who's like married now
like
and
in
stuff.
our personal life.
Legit.
Yeah.
They did the arrows method and they're like, I can't even believe how well this works.
Yeah. Because you know what else it does is like in your day-to-day life, like let's say I make a joke about Steve about like how he hangs picture frames crooked or something.
Here we go.
He doesn't take it like a little bit offensive. Like there's
no resentment.
There's no resentment. Whereas like if there was
normally if there was deep resentment, that's a little bit of it's close enough.
Yeah, it's a little bit like she thinks I'm a fucking idiot. She thinks that like she constantly is saying that I'm an idiot, like over and over. She thinks it's funny, it's like a joke, but like she really thinks I'm an idiot.
Yep.
And like it builds up and it's
you're
like a
flicking
subconscious.
beans at me all day, and then eventually I'm like, you know what? Stop doing that. And that's what always happens.
Right.
But people don't.
Or you try to get back at the person by picking something out, like some of their thing, like, oh, well, like a little, like maybe I'll mentally fuck with you.
Yep.
About like
and
maybe your skills. Yeah.
No, and I have, again, friends who tell me all the time, oh, well, she did this and I'm just going to ignore her for a couple of days. And I'm like, what do you mean you're going to ignore her for a couple of days?
Yeah.
You're going to ignore her?
Like as a tactic.
You're going to ignore your wife? Yeah. Cool. Because
then she'll learn.
Because then she'll listen to me she'll be like, what's going on?
Right.
I'm like, no, you should just say like, this is how I feel. Well, I mean, I will be. It's like no. That's being intentional.
That's the thing.
That's the
whole thing. That's the whole jam.
I know, man. It's so tough. Look, I'm not saying it's easy. I'm saying that we learned this method, and I really do think I had a moment of like a spiritual kick in the head that I had, where it was just like, you got to do this arrows thing, and I was like, I don't even know what the fuck that is, but we just started doing it.
Yeah.
And
we like figured it out in the moment.
Right, and it was just like, it's like when you're writing a script, like right when you're like, oh, we found the moment that solves our story. It's like that. Like it's
a discovery.
It's exactly it, and it helps. The process
because
along.
it helps you understand your partner's thinking too. I'm a very analytical person of like the psychology of why people do the things they do. That was the thing that I liked the most about acting. It's also what I love the most about poker, is because like different people will they act different ways when they're put under pressure. And I like to know why, like what this type of person, why they do the things that they do. Mm-hmm. And when I can understand that, I can, not only does it help me like predict certain things that they might, like reactions like, oh, if I do this, they might get upset, or like, whatever. In a relationship, in poker, it'd be like, oh, I'm going to bet this much they'll call, or, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But it also helps me understand intention. Like they are not doing that to hurt me. They're doing that because this is how they are coping with this other thing or whatever. And we can talk about it that way.
Yep.
Like if I bring this up, it's not going to be from the angle of like, you hurt me. It's going to be from the angle of like, hey, when you said this, bless you, was it because you're still feeling angry about this incident that, whatever. We can, we get to approach it differently instead of approaching it accusatory or like I'm offended or I'm hurt, like you take it in differently. And that's just from like understanding the way like your partner's intentions during those moments. You can start to put it together like a puzzle.
Yep.
And I like puzzles. And anyway, so our fights afterwards, it's not like we stopped fighting. Like we had arguments later, but they were met with understanding, and they were met with more of like a wanting to understand and a wanting to listen, and a not like trying to talk over each other and because you think already what the other person is thinking and da-da-da-da-da.
And by the way, I could have easily, if Nikki still like wanted to be with me and stuff, just kept on citing that coffee table moment, and then she would have to shrink down a little bit and be like, yeah, that was embarrassing, right? Like, yeah, I really lost my lids. Like, see, you lose your lids sometimes, babe. Like you gotta look at it like this.
Exactly. You start getting labeled as a thing.
And it's just such an unfair characterization that always happens in so many relationships if you have no forgiveness.
Have I broken a coffee table since then?
You've thrown away a couple, but you haven't broken any.
have not broken any.
Credit to you. Good
And I
for
haven't
you.
broken anything else. I haven't like thrown anything or
Well,
like.
we can get to that.
Okay.
We can get to that.
Did I throw
But
the-
we're
oh,
gonna
I
get to
did.
that, and
I destroyed my own
You
clothes.
destroyed a lot of things. We're going to get to that in part 2.
Oh.
Which is coming up
Part
on the
2.
next episode of the They Don't Tell You About podcast.
All right. I hope you learned something.
You
'Cause
will.
we did.
If you didn't yet, you will. Be right back.